November evening. Thursday. The streets of the small town were shrouded in a dense fog, transforming the evening lights into glistening pearl beads against the black matty canvas. The entire atmosphere exuded warmth and serenity. As usual, I stood on the balcony, surrounded by darkness, savoring the first. Then the second cigarette, the smoke gracefully dispersed into the air, forming intricate patterns that gradually dissipated. I am aware of the dangers of bad habits, but at times they appear less harmful than the perils of a bad job, unstable sleep, and daily foolishness. I firmly believe that a single cigarette won't lead me to an early grave. After indulging in my tobacco pleasures, I leisurely entered the house, closed the balcony door, and covered the window with a curtain. Recently, I acquired a practical battery-operated light that charges via USB, a thoughtful solution, especially in a city prone to frequent blackouts. Retrieving my smartphone, I noticed the battery level was at 13, sufficient for a quick browse through my Instagram feed before bedtime. 10 minutes of idleness later, the room's lights began to flicker. Time to turn on the light bulb, I decided, unknowingly making a crucial choice. Upon illuminating my new acquisition, the light bulb in the room started to flicker restlessly. Then another, and darkness engulfed the city, except for my corner with the light fixture. I switched on my smartphone, only to discover no internet or network connectivity. A peculiar alert from emergency services arrived. Stay indoors. Do not open windows. State of emergency in the city. There's an accident at the local station. The air is contaminated with poisonous fumes. Intriguing, I thought, but since I had no serious plans for the day, I decided to lie down and observe. Settling onto the bed, gazing up at the beige ceiling, illuminated by the new light fixture, I suddenly wondered about the well-being of my neighbors. I approached the window, pulled back the curtain, and was met with astonishment. The city, usually alive and bustling, now appeared lifeless, as if frozen after an apocalyptic event. The absence of light, people, animals, and even solitary cars on the roads created an eerie atmosphere. This unexpected turn of events unsettled me. A slight chill ran down my spine. Closing the curtain, I sensed that something was amiss. While lying down, curiosity about the neighborhood got the better of me. I went to the window, pulled back the curtain, and suddenly froze. The city, once teeming with activity, now lay seemingly lifeless after a calamitous event. The absence of light, sound, and movement created an atmosphere of unease. Suddenly, something mysterious caught my attention. I stood up, approached the window, and in the darkness, I heard sounds reminiscent of children's play and laughter. Pausing, I listened as the sounds alternately moved away and drew closer. Drawing closer to the window, I touched the curtain, and the noise immediately subsided. Glancing at the time, it was 4:57. What children could be playing at 5 in the morning on a cold autumn night? While contemplating, the smartphone screen illuminated the window opening, and it seemed like the shadows behind the curtains moved unnaturally. Tense, I turned on the flashlight and pointed it toward the window. At that moment, I heard a light scratching on the glass. The sound intensified, followed by banging and slamming. Something outside the window persistently attempted to breach the barrier. Not willing to test my fate any further, I swiftly grabbed the phone and rushed into the bathroom, locking myself in. After a minute, the sound subsided, but at the edge of my hearing, I heard that repulsive, childish laughter again, intertwined with what sounded like the whispering of several voices. I spent a considerable amount of time in the tub, silently trying to comprehend what was happening. However, one thought brought me back to reality, making me feel panicked. In the kitchen, I had placed a restrictor on the window to avoid a draft. As that thought settled in my mind, I heard more scratching and scraping, accompanied by dull thumps in the kitchen. At one point, something kicked the window door along with the restrictor, bursting into the kitchen with its full weight. The beastly roar was replaced by muffled laughter, accompanied by strange, squelching sounds. Checking the bathroom door, I realized that it could only be opened from the inside, and I felt safe, clutching my knees with my hands. I silently prayed that this something wouldn't get inside. To me, I seemed to be in a stupor, having lost my orientation in space. I lost track of time and could not tell whether it was morning or night. There was no sound outside the door, which only added to the tension. I turned on my phone. There was only 1% charge left, and a charger was useless in my situation. During the adrenaline rush, I noticed something glinting under the door. Turning the phone screen toward the door, I screamed as if I had never screamed in my life because dozens of distorted, dead, pale fingers were stretching under the door, silently trying to reach me. A sharp roar, and the laughter that replaced it, made me wake up and realize that the situation was real. I crawled away from the door and took cover under the bathtub, hoping that if something kicked the door in, it wouldn't be able to get to me right away. A last glance at the time showed 6:38, and a moment later, the phone went off. The darkness that had set in consumed not only the visibility but me as well, plunging me into the darkness of something dystopian. I closed my eyes and imagined that I was simply not in this world. The light through the slit at the bottom of the door barely illuminated the bathtub. I heard thuds on the front door, and after one sharp blow, there was the sound of something heavy and metallic falling. Men's voices gave quick orders, and I yelled not to shoot, slowly opening the bathtub door. A few minutes later, I found myself in a black van full of wires and diodes, accompanied by two tall men in black uniforms with automatic rifles. A few days after the events, it was revealed that I had miraculously survived, the only one from my apartment complex. All 5,500 people had disappeared without a trace, leaving no sign of the invasion of their homes. The strange phenomenon began after a brief accident at the station plunged the city into darkness. The scariest part is that similar cases of entire families disappearing have been happening all over the country after the power was turned off to their homes. The special services were never able to find even one culprit, and it continues to this day. Now I can't sleep without lights on and steel doors. Sometimes I think that after waking up, I hear distant children's laughter as if something is chasing me, not wanting to let me go, because I have seen so many terrible things.